All right. Hey, everyone. I normally don't stream at this time, but I am looking to spread my streams out more time wise and so I can reach people I normally don't get to reach when I normally stream. Right now, I'm streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, the market open, where I trade the NASDAQ futures using the Trade Scanner Pro. You could watch the previous streams on my channel. And I normally stream on my Monday time slot at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I've been doing that for like 3 years, and I have the same 10 people watching me. So I'm now looking to stream at other times and also get some upload content out there so that, I can help, I could build the channel a bit. If you like the content, do me a favor. Please press the like button. Please subscribe to the channel so that, as I come out with new stuff, you get to it. You get to hear it. Here, there's my little fancy button there. All right, cool. So today's stream, again, I normally don't stream at this time, and I want to welcome you if you're new. Today's stream, I'm going to talk about how I'm buying the bottom of the NASDAQ. I know that there's been a lot of drama with the NASDAQ, right? And let me pull up my chart, my comments here. By the way, if you want to share what city or what country you're from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as northern New Jersey. Not my favorite. But anyway, so I have my Bitcoin chart up over here. We're going to change these here in a moment because we could talk about Bitcoin real quick. That's usually what I talk about on Mondays. Now, so a couple of things. The point of today's stream is I'm going to talk about how I'm buying the NASDAQ. The title is How I'm Buying the Bottom or whatever. Buying the bottom of the NASDAQ. Here's how. So how am I doing that? I kind of touched on it in my previous streams, but I'm going to talk about it specifically. Hey there. I'm going to talk about it specifically on this stream. We're going to talk about the cues, and we're going to talk about how I'm positioning myself for the area that I believe is a high probability bottom. And this can also tie into Bitcoin as well. All right. So from Dallas. All right. All right, boy, from Dallas. I like that. I've been to Dallas, Fort Worth. I like Dallas very much. All right. Anyway, so let's so by the way, Bitcoin and the Nasdaq have a relationship. And I have to say one thing. After the move today, Bitcoin has barely pulled back. We're nowhere near the lows, as you can see here. Let me just make this chart bigger. This is the Nasdaq pushed lows. We're not pushing 76K on Bitcoin, which tells me it's relatively strong. Interesting, right? So while this formation right here is ugly and implies weakness, I don't know, man. In the face of 1,000 point pullback on the Nasdaq, and this thing's not pushing lows, and what we get a like bullish pin bar situation close right here today. That's, I have to say, there's some relative strength there. All right, but I'm not going to sit here and talk about Bitcoin. But this is not a bad area to buy Bitcoin for multiple time frames. Let's get into the NASDAQ, shall we? By the way, tomorrow I will be streaming my regular time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, where I will stream my day trades. Real quick, a quick note on that. As I'm pulling up the NASDAQ, we'll go with the Qs, okay? We're going to look at the Qs because that's actually the instrument that I'm using. I think it's the best choice. There's other instruments you could use like the futures and stuff like that, the micro futures. But we're going to make a few points because this is the position that I'm working on. This is where I'm actually buying the bottom that I'm talking about. So here, hold on. Let me check something here real quick. I hope there's people watching me on Twitter. Let me see. Can I see? Where's my numbers here? Oh, it's over here. Hold on. Okay, I got people watching me on Twitter. Man, I only have 3 people on YouTube. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. YouTube hates me. I mean, seriously, I stream and it puts it out to like 3 people. Literally. Do me a favor, people. Press the like button so maybe the algorithm will get a few more people. I figured I'll stream in the evening Eastern time. I should at least be able to reach some more US people. But man, I'm telling you, they don't like me. I don't know what it is. Anyway, all right, I'm not going to rant on that for 3 hours. So we're going to talk about the NASDAQ and we're going to talk about how I'm buying this bottom. Now, a couple of things I have to say. First of all, we had today, I mean, this was a huge pullback. Now, I know there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of talk of this tariff and blah, 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 all this tariff stuff and this and that. right? That was yesterday. That's where we got this candle yesterday over here. If you're looking to get good prices, this is what has to happen. All these people that are like, oh, this is ridiculous, the market pulling back. This is a real pullback. We have not seen this in a very long time. You could blame whoever you want, but this is a market cycle and a buying opportunity. All right, now, this thing closed weak, and we are going into non-farm payrolls tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Maybe non-farm payrolls comes out bad. But the thing is, this market is so sold off. How much lower is it going to go on a bad non-farm payrolls, right? So here's what you have to watch for. First of all, if non-farm payrolls comes out bad, but not as bad as expected, this thing is probably going to reverse hard. I mean, the Qs today were minus, let's see, what was it today? I guess 18 points. This candle here, this candle is, well, this should be today's candle here. I guess it's because of the way I have this thing, set up. This is minus 5 points. When was this candle open? Let me just take a look real quick. Right, so because we're in the aftermarket right now. Right, the NASDAQ officially closed at 450.71. That's what it looks like on the hourly candle, right? And now we're in the after hours here on the Qs. So let's go back to my larger time frame, because that's really where the arguments are going to be made. So my first point is this. Don't get caught up with all the nonsense that they're pushing out on all the platforms. I know things are bearish and I know blah, 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 but buying opportunities look like this. It's when everyone is freaked out. No one knows whatever. Everything looks bad in the news. Where you don't want to be buying is up here. Do you remember the news up there? Do you remember? Markets they're gonna go up forever. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah. The market looks safe. That's the worst time to buy, and that's what I always tell people. Go back to my streams. I don't delete anything. Go back to my streams and watch what I was saying at these highs. I tell people, if you're gonna buy small bites, because if this happens, it's not that painful. But what happens is people buy when things look good, and they're taking the most risk. And these are the same people that are getting banged out of their positions now, or they're getting margined out now, or they're watching their 401ks melt, and they're like, oh, I thought the markets are supposed to go up 10% per year. Right. We've been so lulled into complacency for so many years. I mean, look at this, right? Looking back, it's always been small pullback and go higher, small pullback and go higher. So when we get a real pullback, people don't know what to do. This is what separates the real traders and investors, the ones who understand markets, from the clowns who just pretend all day long and make content all day long, right? So how am I buying the Qs? First of all, I recognize this as a buying opportunity. I'm using the Qs. And what I'm doing is I'm buying straight out shares. I'm buying 10 shares at a time. So here's my plan. And I talked about this the other day, but I'm going to talk about it again. And by the way, if you have questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. That's why I'm here. So what I'm doing here, I'm buying 10 shares. Now, of course, you have to have an account that can accommodate this. And yeah, it's nice if you have more than $25,000 so you don't have to deal with the pattern day trade rule. But if you don't have $25,000, you can still get around it. You just can't trade every day, right? So, and what I'm about to share here doesn't require putting on trades every day either. So 10 shares at a time, right? Now, let me explain the position that I have, because I've accumulated some, and I'm going to explain it here. So we're going to go to a 30-minute chart. And I'm going to explain my levels first, and then I'm going to explain my rationale. So I had 30 shares from a previous position. at an average price of 479, right? That was my average price for only 30 shares. Now, I had a previous position. It doesn't, of course, I'm talking about it after the fact now. It doesn't matter. But I bought into the previous bottom at 467. I bought into that. And then it ran to 495 or whatever. And I sold out of that. And then I held on to 30 shares because I said, if this market goes higher, I'll have some shares that I could sell out as it goes higher. But if the market pulls back, I'm going to buy more. That was the plan. So that was like a week ago. On Friday, the market had this nasty pullback over here, right? This was going into Friday over here, I believe. This, see that? And I pulled up my platform and I saw we were at 470. And I'm like, oh, what a great price. So I bought 20 shares there, right? I just bought 20 shares because that's the price I wanted. So let's put that on the chart here. 470. Where is that? It's up here. 469. It was like 469 something. That was up here. Wait a minute. When was this? This is Wednesday. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong chart here. I made this purchase on Friday. Let's go back to Friday. Friday's over here. Okay. So I bought, we were around here. Yeah, we were around here somewhere. Okay. So I'm going to highlight that on this chart. So we were basically fooling around here. Okay. Right around here. See that? And we closed weak that day. So I bought 20 shares, plus I had an order, a limit order in the market at 465, which I had left there for a week because I wanted to buy lower prices. I put that order in when we were fooling around in the 470s or 480s or whatever, because I figured, hey, if we pull back, I wouldn't mind buying 10 shares at 465. So I got both of those orders filled here on Friday. I bought at the market 469 or whatever, and then 465 filled into the close, right? So that was 30 shares. So I doubled my position from 30 shares to 60 shares. You following me so far? Now, so my average price at that point was 473. Now, I put in order after that, I put in an order to buy 10 more shares at 463. Let's put that on here. Okay, so 463 is right here. And again, we rallied, and I said, well, whatever. I left the order in the market because if for whatever reason we get to 463, I'll take it. So I got filled at 463. That was yesterday, right? 10 more shares. So that put me at 70 shares. Now today, then we have all that drama with tariff, blah blah blah, right? Blah blah blah. And today I open up my platform, and where are we at? 454. Okay, so I bought another 10 shares, basically right there, 454. Right, and we went much lower. So this put me at 80 shares. So I'm long 80 shares of Qs. My average price is 468. Now, my goal is to accumulate 100 shares. Now, this pullback was not that surprising to me. The news, whatever, I have no idea what news is coming out. I was just looking at this as a technical pattern. Now, when I go back to the bigger picture here, this is what I was looking at. I saw the lower high develop at the 500 area, okay? I saw this lower high, and I said, well, what typically follows a lower high is a lower low. So I figured, okay, if I'm going to be buying more, if I'm going to add to my 30 shares, I would like to add to it in this area. That means 460s, 450s. I saw before we closed at what, 450. I saw another price, 449 or whatever. Great. Now I have 80 shares. Can we go lower? We can. But this is what I want to show you. Look, how much lower can we go? We're going back to basically like August over here, right? Look at this. That's a pretty significant level right there. And that happens to be, what's that low? 420. Oh, nice number for those of you that like to smoke. I don't smoke, but anyway, I know the code. So 420 is a pretty significant low. This is where we could possibly, it may go that far, possibly, but look where we are here. Look, there is some potential support there. So those are reference points. And what they help me do is they help me gauge that there's a greater probability that we bounce or reverse or retrace in this area rather than just continue in a straight line. Markets don't typically go in a straight line. Now, look at this move here. From this low to this high, right? That was the high. That was 72 points on the NASDAQ, right? 72 points. And then we bounced 30 points in just a few days or a week. But that was the lower high, right? I knew not to buy more there. I was getting out of my position there. Here we are. I have now accumulated more, and I'm prepared to buy 20 more shares. Now, if we're going to see how we play out tomorrow with non-farm payrolls. I prefer to buy those 20 shares on the way up. Okay, so like that. So I'm dollar cost averaging as the market's going lower, but I'm only going to do that to a point. Hopefully we can reverse and I can buy those 10 shares on the web. So maybe I buy another 10 at 460. Maybe I buy another 10 at 465. I don't know. I have to see how the price action goes. But I would like to do that. Now, if we get hammered tomorrow and we're at like 435 or something like that, I'll probably buy 10 more shares in such an extreme situation. But that's it, right? At that point, I'll have 90 shares and then I'll be looking for the upswing. And that's when I'll add my next 10 shares to complete 100. Now, why am I buying 100 shares of the Qs? Why 100? Why not more than that? Well, for one, I don't want to overload my account. Number two, I want to be able to sell a call against my shares when I want to get out. So right now, my average price is 468. So the way I'm working this is if we can bounce and, a 15 or 20 point bounce, this thing is what? 18 points against my position right now, basically, which isn't bad, right? The NASDAQ was what, minus 22 points or 25 points today alone. It was able to do that in one day. So I think recovering 30 points is really not a unreasonable thing. I don't care what the fundamentals are because all this fundamental nonsense, once it's priced in, it's priced in. What the retail trader doesn't understand is that's over now. It's history and it's priced in. So a lot of selling that was going to happen has been done. So if we can bounce, right, and a good level, actually a good reference point would be this previous low, which is 467. That would be I would be break even at that point, okay, on my position, assuming I only have these 80 shares and I don't buy any more. Like I'd like to buy 20 more shares, which is going to lower my average price, by the way, if I get lower prices than 468. You guys following me so far? Let me know if you have any questions about this. So I'm anticipating the reversal. There is nothing here at the moment that says this thing wants to reverse. Now, some people may say, man, you're nuts. You're buying something that's, it's going in a straight line. Yes, but I'm looking at something you can't see. And that is the probability that this thing is going to turn in this area. Okay, look at how previous turns have transpired. Look at this, right? It fools around near the low, fools around, and then massive candle. And then it rallies for days, right? Now, again, fundamentally, we have a lot of, chaos, whatever. But again, I don't pay any attention to that because if I was paying attention to that, I never would have bought over here, for one. But I'm buying into this responsibly. Like I said, I'm not going all in. I'm not selling puts into this. I'm specifically not doing that because this is not the environment to be selling puts because you can get caught, you can run into some problems doing that. So I'm simply dollar cost averaging into an instrument that's very strong generally. I'm buying the top 100 NASDAQ stocks and they're on sale right now. I mean, this is an investment grade type of asset. It's not like I'm buying some GameStop type of stock because I would not dollar cost average in this way with a stock like that because a stock like that can go to zero. The Qs, probably not. So we may see a bottom somewhere between 450 and 420. And there may be some more chaos. We'll see how non-farm payrolls affects this tomorrow. But if we close strong tomorrow, if we have a big green candle tomorrow and, by the close, we have like an outside bar or something like that, that's going to be a very attractive buy signal at a very attractive location. So watch for that. Okay. That's a potential scenario. If I see something like this by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, I'll probably add another 10 shares because I'm still getting better prices, right? In a situation like that, I'm still getting below 468. This high, in fact, is 468, right? No, what is that? That's 483. Where's 468? That must be this high over here. That's around this candle, the current candle right there. The high is 462. So even if I'm getting 462, 463, whatever, it's still lower than 468, and it's going to lower my average price. But like I said, I prefer to buy into this as it goes up from here. And once I have my 100 shares, I will then look to sell a call. But the question is, where do I sell the call? Are you guys following on that? Do you guys understand options? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and explain options, but for those of you that do understand, a covered call is a very simple strategy. It's very simple, and it's typically a conservative, low risk strategy, assuming you know what you're doing. Because if you just buy anything and you say, "Oh, I'll just sell calls against it," and the thing pulls back 50%, and you lose half your account, well, selling calls is not going to help you. So you have to understand it's all part of the plan. Like when we reverse, if we can get above 468, which I believe there is a high probability, if we can somehow, maybe we get to test that high, which is 490, 495 in the next few weeks. Maybe we can do something like that. I will be watching very closely because I will be very happy to sell a 480 or 485 call at the money. Understand, if I sell a call on my 100 shares from an average price of 468, and let's say I get 480, and I'm able to get $300 for that call, I keep the money. So that adds $300 to my profit. On top of that, I'm making $1,200 on the 100 shares that I got from 468, or maybe even a lower price after I accumulate my 20 more shares. Does that make sense, you guys? Any questions? That's how I'm buying this. So the main things to take away here, for one, don't be scared by all of the nonsense. There's tons of it. Understand that events like this in the market are rare. To see the NASDAQ minus 1,000 points is rare. You don't see that often. So you have to pay attention to that, number one. And there has to be some sort of catalyst in the system to get something like that. First of all, you have to look at it as, well, where are we on the bigger picture? You know, where does that put us? What is our location on the roadmap? That's not exactly a bad area. Yes, this structure is bearish, and people can argue, oh, bearish trend, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, you can make that argument because we have a lower high and we have a lower low. Yes, that is true. But that's short term, because just zooming out a bit here, this chart is not exactly bearish yet. It's getting there, but we haven't really broken any significant structure. And we may be on our way to breaking. Like this was the first thing that was broken up here, right? That range low. And that was like the beginning of this bear action here, right? When we broke that range low. Now, here we are. We're fooling around at some more key levels. Do we keep going? Maybe. But we're not going to go in a straight line. That's highly unlikely to go in a straight line, especially after we've moved significantly, 50 points off the 495 high, and we went to like, what is that, 55 points or something like that in a very short period of time. So bouncing 30 or 40 points is not unreasonable, even if we go lower first. Now understand another thing. This position that I have on, I hope it's profitable, but if the market doesn't recover, which is a possibility that I have to be open to, then when we do get a bounce, because at some point we will bounce, then I will have to use that as an opportunity to reduce my risk and get out of the position for a loss. That can happen also. So you have to look at it from all the perspectives, right? I'm taking a chance. You have to be able to take chances. You have to be able to take risk in situations like this. Now, again, for me, it's not a huge risk. I'm not risking half my account. You know, if this thing doesn't work out for me, I may be losing a couple of percent, you know, maybe 3% or something. I mean, this is not a small account that I'm working on, but still, It's not 10%. So I'm keeping it very careful. This is why I'm not selling puts. This is why I'm not buying 100 shares at a time. I'm only buying 10. And when I can get 10 shares, like 10 points apart, like I bought some at 468, I bought some at 454, right? 463, 454. When I can get them that far apart, I'm very happy about that because that spreads out my risk. And that gives me a nice jump on the average price rather than buying too many shares in a concentrated area. Buying too many shares at 465 or 470, for example. What if I bought all 50 shares in that area? Now I'm getting hammered, but my risk is spread out. That is how you dollar cost average. Okay. And it has to be done carefully because there is risk here. Understand too that this type of low, let's go to the weekly chart. This type of low we may be going into the low of the year. You realize that? Like if things recover, this could be the low of the year, possibly, right? Great place to be long. So understand, or I want you to think about this. For those of you that maybe you bought into this while the market was rallying and maybe you're stuck in this thing now and you're like, man, how come no one back then, just a few months ago, was saying, well, the beginning of the second quarter, we're going to see some pretty significant lows. I would not be investing at these highs right now. How come no one was saying that? Was anyone saying that? No. They're all like, oh, buy the Qs, everything's going to triple. Early investors are going to make trillions of dollars, right? And if you believe that, you get what you pay for. This is when you should be interested. This is when you should be looking for opportunities, not when we're pushing highs. When we're pushing a low, especially a significant low. This is not some random minor low. This is a major low. And when it finds a bottom, when it reverses, it's probably going to reverse hard and sustain itself for a bit, just like how it's done previously. Okay. Now, I know you can argue, well, this is before the tariffs. Now we have tariffs and blah, 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 blah. Right. I understand. But you know what? It wasn't like the guy never said he was going to do this. It's just the market doesn't know how to react to the uncertainty. And yes, I understand it's going to cause inflation. I understand the negatives, but I don't care about those things. You know why? It's priced in now. That's why I don't care. And that means that as more negative news comes out, this market is likely to get tired. It's going to become oversold. And negative news, when you start to see negative news coming out and the market's not really going lower, that's really the sign. Okay? It's tricky, but that's typically the sign because that means the people that were going to sell have sold and the market's being absorbed, right? Now, one thing that I don't like about this situation right now, today is Thursday, right? We have one more day before this candle closes. One thing that I don't like about this situation is there's absolutely no reason to buy this just yet. Okay, there's no pin bar, there's nothing. But look at this. A few weeks ago, right, we had a pin bar right here, followed by an inside bar, and we still went lower. So just because we get like a potential reversal pattern doesn't mean it's going to work, right? Another thing I don't like, because again, you have to consider the arguments from both sides. Even though I don't like these things, I'm still buying. Okay, I'm still following my plan. This tail and this candle right here, that's also a bad sign. But we have to see how tomorrow plays out. If tomorrow is a strong day, then what happens is this candle turns into a doji type of candle, right? This is the weekly candle. It closes tomorrow. So back to the daily. You guys following me so far? So you have to think like a contrarian. You have to be prepared. These unusual times are an opportunity. We don't get these times very often. If I really had balls, I'd go all in, but I'm not going to do that because I'm conservative and I like to do things carefully because I know things can get out of hand. And when I see a day that's minus 1,000 points on the NASDAQ, I'm like, man, you don't see that very often. We're over, right. I agree, Slow. Hey, how are you? Friday, hey, all you guys, all my regulars from, My regular, you guys can't get enough of me. These are the guys from my AM, my AM session, my day trade session. I'll be on tomorrow, by the way, at 9:30. I just wanted to do this session because I had to address this move on the NASDAQ. And also I thought maybe I can reach some more people than usual. I mean, I see everyone's watching me on Twitter. Most of my people are on Twitter. Twitter people, do me a favor. Come over to the YouTube channel and press the like button on the YouTube channel because that's where I need the help. But I appreciate you guys on Twitter. But anyway, from Mexico, mucho gusto. Yes, that's right. ¿Cómo estás? From Mexico. Me encanta Mexico. I haven't been to Mexico, though. I've been to Belize, but I haven't been to Mexico. So, anyway. Me encanta México. Puedo hablar algunas español. Solamente las palabras malas. Okay. Anyway, no more Spanish lesson for today. Yesterday, I was saying bad words in Mandarin. For those that were watching my my stream, we made some money in that stream. We had a nice trade in that stream. You should watch it. It's on the YouTube channel if you haven't seen it, and you could learn my bad words in Mandarin because I had a guy from Shanghai come in and he approved of my bad words. He liked my pronunciation. So anyway. All right, so you guys clear on the NASDAQ situation here? This is the NASDAQ, and this is, I believe, the time to buy. So when people, when we're higher in a month or whatever, right? And I say, well, people, watch my video. I was telling people, right? Learn the lesson here. Don't be afraid when the world is afraid. This is when opportunity exists. Think like a contrarian. You don't have to go all in. Take small bites if you're comfortable. Oh, by the way, I also took an options position too. We broke the higher low. What do you see? What do you see happening? Well, the higher low. You mean the lower highs? You're talking about this higher low? Yeah. Well, we made a lower low. So this is a bearish structure for sure, no question, right? We had the lower high and lower low. We never double bottomed. Okay, no problem. But my point here, Slow, was, we're pushing into these major support levels from historical support levels here. And I'm anticipating basically that this turns into a failed low. Although we're too far away for the failed low, what I'm anticipating is we find a reversal in the next few days. Maybe non-farm payrolls gives us the start that we need. But I'm anticipating some type of reversal into next week just because this thing is just so far, it's gone so far and we have not seen any significant bounces, right? So that's what I'm looking at. Now, of course, we can go lower and maybe we form that double bottom at much lower prices. I don't know. Buying into a low like this is riskier compared to waiting until the market turns. But look at this. If you were buying into this retracement, right? You're thinking, okay, I'm buying as the market's going higher. If you had not recognized the lower high at 495, you're getting hammered. So when it comes to investing, because this is more of a swing trade investor perspective, these are not day trades. I'm taking this position as a longer term position. If I have to hold it for a couple of months, no problem, right? That's the plan going into it. It's not like I'm starting out with a day trade and be like, oh, I'll just hold on to it. It's not that. I'm purposely buying 10 shares at a time to accumulate the position. Everything is with a purpose. Everything is part of the plan. I'm not like making this up as I go along. And I just thought I would share this with you because this is what I'm doing. All right. Now, you guys clear on that? That's my plan for the Qs. So I have a few minutes. Let me know if you have any questions. While I'm waiting, what I'd like to do is just maybe talk a little bit about Bitcoin here, because Bitcoin is interesting. It's telling. It's very telling. And by the way, for those of you that normally don't follow me, I will be on tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we will day trade the NASDAQ futures as I've been doing in the recent couple of weeks. So please, if you're available at that time, join me, and let's see what we can do. I used the Trade Scanner Pro at that time, and I have an eval account from Apex. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to see if we can beat the eval account using the Trade Scanner Pro. I have to make $3,000, right? That's the objective for that account. So I do that tomorrow at 9:30. If you guys want to check that out, join me. If you can't join me, you can watch it after the fact on this, on my channel. And if you want to see how the other days have been, check them out on my channel. Okay. Okay, no problem. So let's just take a quick look, because Bitcoin, when I was watching this earlier, I'm going to change this to the daily chart over here on this side. And what you see here, this is the Trade Scanner Pro, right? It's the trade that it has on the daily chart. I don't take trades on the daily chart because the risk is just too big for me. You could take them if you just go with smaller size, but I just prefer not to. I mean, look at the risk on this thing. It's called a short, by the way. 7,000 point risk, though, right? That's why I don't do that. But look at that. Interesting, right? Called a short. And it still looks good. But the point is this: the Trade Scanner Pro is not a forecasting tool. It's a confirmation tool. So if you were looking to work the short anyway, then you're working this and you're using the orders to simplify your decision making. That's not what I want to show here. So I'm gonna turn that off. But Bitcoin has not gotten hammered along with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was pushing lows. This thing is not pushing lows, right? Higher low. It gave the formation to push lows, but we're nowhere near the 76K low. By the way, the formation that I would like to see in the NASDAQ would look something like this. Here, I'm going to point it out to you. This is what I would like to see. That's basically like the double bottom. That's what I would like to see. Now, the current configuration on NASDAQ has gone too far to give us this look, but maybe we get that, in the next few weeks, or maybe we reverse hard tomorrow, which will make up for it. I don't know. Anyway, back to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is developing what looks to be a higher low. And if you watch my analysis, if you read my article on TradingView that I published on Sunday, I talked about this area right here as a support level, minor support level, around that 80K, 80.5, 81.5. Great place for swing trade longs or even day trade longs, right? I wouldn't consider it a major level, but the major level is going to be the 78 to 76K, but not a bad place to be open to longs, right? And not going nuts shorting this thing, because with the NASDAQ as low as it has been, this thing, I would be expecting this thing to be pushing lows. Why is it not pushing lows? What's the holdup here? Maybe you could take that in MSTR or coin if you want to take the stock version, or BITO, right? BITO is another version, another way you can play Bitcoin, and you can use options. We got a question here from Friday. Let's see. What do you say, Friday? What is your view on Bitcoin as of now? I'm thinking it's going to go lower, retest of 76K. Okay. Yeah. So I'm addressing that here. The formation implies lower prices, right? We got this very bearish candle here. Right, that was yesterday. I guess that was the tariff announcement, I guess. And it implies a test of low. So I think that is still a possibility, but I do have to consider this idea of relative strength. With NASDAQ pushing lows, like I said, what's the story here? What's the holdup, right? If I was short, I would be concerned in a situation like this. So yeah, that's what I would say. So if you're thinking about a long Friday, if you're thinking about long, if we don't push those lows, you may have to make an adjustment. One way to adjust for that is you could take a position with smaller size up in here, right? But it depends on how you're playing it. Like if it's a swing trade, if you what time frame you're playing on and stuff like that. There's also a signal being given on the trade scanner for the short take. Oh, right. You're talking about on this time frame, right? Because yeah, there's a signal there, right? But like I was saying, this is to confirm. It's not forecasting. So it may not get there, right? You have to keep an open mind, but if you were planning to short anyway and the signal pops up, then you can play that. You want to work that because that's the whole idea behind the Trade Scanner Pro. Just keep in mind, you're looking at 7,000 points of risk. Okay. So you could take a smaller position to compensate for that, right? Like if you bought a full Bitcoin, you're going to lose $7,000 if this thing goes the wrong way on you. Does that make sense? So I see that, and it's still possible. But my question is, what's up with this holdup with the NASDAQ so weak? Like I would expect this thing to be a little more, I'd expect this thing to be following a little bit more. Okay, but it's not. So that's that. And altcoins may follow. So keep that in mind. All right. Now, like if I was going to take a longer position in Bitcoin, this would be a place to buy some actually, right? Like the short would be a swing trade because understand the short is low probability to begin with. And what I mean by that is on the big picture here, when I zoom out, this structure on Bitcoin, that's a clear cut high or low. This is like a wave four situation, right? Pullback, and it's forming like a higher low. This is nowhere near 65K, which would be the wave one overlap. So if this thing stabilizes in this area, and for some reason it finds some catalyst to rally, you're looking at a test of highs, right? So I would certainly be very careful on the short side. Swing trades, okay. Day trades, no problem. But bigger picture, I'd still be on the bullish side. Does that make sense? And dollar cost averaging 80K, 78K, 76K. If we test 73K, those would be good dollar cost averaging levels. All right. So one thing I want to mention, back to the Qs real quick, is my options. I put an order out for a vertical spread today to see if they'd fill me. It's 3 months out. Okay, so I bought a June call spread. I bought that far out because in case the market messes around and wastes a lot of time, I still have a chance with that thing. And it's like the 480, 485. Like I bought the 480 call, sold the 485 call. And the price was like $1.75. I bought two of them. So the whole point of that is it allows me to catch a bounce without having to risk a lot of money. And if the market keeps going lower and lower, now you see there, I'm basically controlling 200 shares of the Qs, but for only $350, right? In total, if that position goes to zero, which it can, I lose $350. Right? But if I'm right on that position, I mean, I bought it at 176 per contract. That thing has about $425 of profit potential baked into it if the market makes it back up to 490 within those 3 months, right? But it's a longer term position. I don't expect to be able to sell that thing at the max profit, and that's not the goal. The goal is if I risked $176 per contract, if I could make $176 of profit or something like $200, I'm very happy. I'm out. That's how you trade those vertical spreads. Because again, it's a long spread, it's a bull spread. So time is working against me in that spread, even though I used a short option to cheapen my long option. That's the whole point of a vertical. But any like real professional options trade, oh, you long premium, you're going to lose. I know, but I feel safer with the long premium because my max risk is limited to $1.76. I can't lose more than that. So if the NASDAQ collapses and goes to 430, I can't lose more than $1.76, right? But my profit potential is like more than 2 to 1 or whatever, right? Now, I could go the opposite way and do a bull put spread where I would sell the put, right? The nearby put, like the 450 put or 445 put, and then buy the 440 put. But what I don't like about that position, because again, we're in a bearish configuration. This is the same reason why I won't sell puts here. We can make lower lows very easily. If we were back in the bullish configuration like we were, months ago, and we were in higher lows were establishing themselves and staying intact, that's a put selling environment. This is not. So what can happen if I do a bull put spread? What can happen is I can get assigned on that short put if the price doesn't get to the long put, and it just turns into a mess. So even though time is working in my favor on those, I prefer the long side. It's just easier. Okay, it's easier to deal with, and I don't have to get stuck in anything complicated. That's just a personal preference, And plus, there's no assignment risk with the bull call spread, but the bull put spread there's assignment risk, and I don't feel like getting assigned a couple hundred shares of the Qs. I really don't. And this is not the environment for it. All right, makes sense. I know I may be talking about some complicated option stuff you guys may not understand, but I figure I'd share it. Maybe someone out there gets it. All right, you guys, any questions? I appreciate you guys spending, you guys who came out here, and all you guys are on Twitter, man. I appreciate you guys coming out here and checking me out from Twitter. No one on YouTube. I thought I'd at least get a couple more people on YouTube. Man, come on, you guys. Do me a favor. Get some YouTube people here. Press the like button. Press the subscribe button. Something. I need some more followers on YouTube. Like I do the AM stream, right? I figured maybe I'll get some more people there. No. I think YouTube just hides my thing altogether. I thought maybe now for sure I'd get some US people. No. I guess not, man. I got to start doing upload. That's what it is. I have to start doing uploads, and then I have to build the following. That I guess. Anyway, any questions, guys? Come on, don't be shy. It's okay to ask me. Well, most of you are on Twitter, so you can't ask questions on Twitter. I understand. All right, so we clear on everything. So just to recap this, I'm not going to keep you much longer. Just to recap this, again, I see this as an opportunity to buy the NASDAQ. Top 100 stocks. It looks ugly at the moment. We have non-farm payrolls coming out tomorrow. All right, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. I like these talk. Okay, cool. Gracias. Yeah, so I'm taking a chance, stepping in front, but I'm doing it responsibly. I'm not going all in. I'm not doing anything nuts. That like if the market does go to 420 or whatever, I'm not going to be happy about it, but it's not going to wipe out my account either. Okay, I'll just have to recover it as the Qs eventually stabilize and work their way higher. I have no problem being married to the Qs for 6 months. I really don't have a problem with that. It's the Qs. If this was GameStop, yeah, I'd be pulling my hair out if I had hair. But this isn't GameStop. Does that make sense, you guys? I'm just looking at the chat here. Time. Yeah. Well, I don't know, Slow. I don't know, man, because, I've been streaming for a few years, and I think, no, I don't put enough content out. So I'm trying to put out more content. I got to put out more content. Otherwise, I'm competing with people that put out content all day, literally all day. And, I have other things to do. I can't be putting out content all day. So, but I appreciate you guys, man. I mean, I know I complain a lot about the numbers, but it'd just be nice to see some nicer numbers. All right. Anyway, so you guys clear on the Qs? So again, the key takeaway, my levels. I'm looking to buy 20 more shares, somewhere between 450 and 430 if we go that low. If we don't go that low, I would like to buy those shares on the way up. If I can, I would also be open to that. I want to accumulate 100 shares so that I can then sell a call against my 100 shares and have them take my shares away. Right? That's called a covered call. And I want to be assigned, but I want to be assigned at a good price. And a good price would be like 480. That would be a nice price. I would have a nice profit at that price on top of the premium that I'll collect from that call that I sell. Okay? So we're going to update this trade as I go along. I'll keep you guys updated, but you guys know all the details of the trade. All right. And if you want to follow along on paper trade. But so the key takeaway here is, again, don't be afraid of all the stuff in the news. You have to look at levels and you have to look at price structure, right? We don't have the most friendly price structure, but you have to consider the probabilities of things, right? And that's what is not obvious on the chart. It's not apparent at all. But if someone told you, if the news came out and said, whoa, there's like 10 million buyers absorbing all these shares over here, but you can't see it, then you'd be like, oh, I feel good about buying, right? But, that's not what you see because we can't see the order book. We can't see who's buying what, but I'm willing to bet large players are happy to absorb here. Of course, they absorb as the market's going lower and lower. They're not absorbing as it's going higher and higher, right? And then eventually the market gets tired of going lower because all the selling becomes absorbed. And then we see a reversal. So I'm trying to step in front of that, and we'll see if we can get back up to the 480s, whatever. I'll be very happy if we can, because that's where I'll be looking to unload. All right. I'm not being unrealistic here, expecting a test of 500 or anything like that. Although anything is possible, This is a longer term view, and I'm not going to be misled by all the garbage out there, all the expert economists, all the people that said, oh, market is going to go up forever and all that other nonsense. I know better. I know better. I don't have everything figured out, but I know that probability is a key part of this game, especially on the shorter term. And I can recognize the probability begins with levels and knowing how the levels fit into the current trend structure. We're at the lowest low. I'm anticipating a bounce. All right, as simple as that. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions, you guys? Any questions? I don't see any questions. No questions? All right, so tomorrow I will be on at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we will be looking to day trade the NASDAQ with the Trade Scanner Pro. So please join me on YouTube for that stream. All right, you guys on Twitter, join me on YouTube. Ask me questions. Let's see if we can get a nice trade. That will be after non-farm payrolls. We'll see what kind of market we get. All right. So guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your attention. So again, yeah. If you want to send me an email, I forgot the email. You can reach me at mark@markpremarkets.com, or you can send me a message on TradingView and I'll get back to you. All right. So that's that. Enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for watching.